as we push into the 8th turn.
And no more embarkation? Oh no, there still is. The green says you can embark. What does the yellow mean? I don't know. There are no reinforcements this turn, I guess. And this is the U.S. Marine operations. Okay. So yeah, no more reinforcements. Didn't realize that. A lot of things I'm not realizing. And some of it is there's not a lot to remind you of things. But anyway. All the Union supply has pushed down to Bermuda 100. Here it doesn't really help me, but from back here, I've got my supply line now running by Ransom, getting me to Hinks. Actually, no, this cav is tracing back to there. And then the entire Army of the Potomac is kind of tracing from Haxels. Okay. I think I have that on another game. Anyway, that sounds familiar. I'm wondering if it's, I don't remember if 7 days went down that far. I don't think it does. So I'm trying to think what would. Maybe a strategic thing, but, oh, or maybe I'm remembering it from this. Anyway, one of the reasons that I'm, other than showing, hey, everybody's in supply, is the everybody's in supply. The fact that you have to hunt down every piece in the game and make sure that it's on the correct side at this moment. That's a hard thing, because if there's any time you're going to take a break, yeah, you might take a break in the middle of an action cycle or something. But if there's any time that you're likely to take breaks, it's at the beginning or end of a turn. It's actually kind of like in another Victory Games game, the Civil War. It's kind of a bad time to do it. You kind of want to do it between action cycles, but not the final action cycle, because checking the supplies is actually the hardest at this moment, and you most kind of want to know what's going on. But on the other hand, every action cycle could cause you problems. But the thing is, you look at your pieces on the other action cycle and say, do I want to move this? And you examine them at that point. At this point in time, you basically are looking at every single piece. And if it's in supply, it's organized. And if it's not, it's disorganized. And might have to roll on a table as well. It will have to roll on the table. It might have a penalty on that table. I've been looking. I finished up the Stonewall Jackson's Ways rolls for Great Battles of the American Civil War. It doesn't solve this problem. It mirrors it. It makes supply every 6 turns, which given the scale is approximately the same as it is here. It puts all kind of other stuff around the frame of single action cycles and makes action cycles the turn, essentially. But the one reason that I didn't like this triple action cycle thing was the idea that supply has to be checked at a certain time. Now, it allows you to regain supply through foraging, which actually in a lot of ways mirrors this game. So Balkowski obviously does not see what came from this as a mistake in terms of the situations that it generates. He sees it as reasonable. And basically, units can forage and they get their full strength back in that design. Similarly, here, if you're disorganized, you take a turn, one of these action cycles off, a longer period of time, and you recover. So, I don't know, you know. It just so happens that every so many days you need to establish your supply, and it happens only on certain days. You know, it's not like, oh, you had to be in supply at least 6 days, within the last 6 days, for a certain amount of time or anything like that. No, it's just, you had to be in supply on day 6. And then on days 7 through 12, unless you do something, you're out of supply. And it also takes out of hand any kind of idea of, look, if you fought a battle, and both games have this issue, if you fought a battle and you're out of supply, you're out of artillery ammo maybe, or lower on it. You're not going to be as effective in combat. And you're not going to forage and be able to find additional gunpowder and ammo anywhere near as easily. That stuff is going to be kept at depots, etc. It's not in arsenals. It's not going to be sitting out in the fields where you can just wander around and pick it, right? So, I don't know. So one of the things that I was most hoping for in the the update to the game design isn't there. What seems to be more detail and focusing in, and I'm not really sure I need that. I really kind of like the level this is at. I just wish, like, I want more detail on my time, right? Time is the thing you can't mess with. Yeah, and I've wandered off into nowhere again, of course. It happens. All right. The problem is, I've been away for a little while. So I turned it back on. And this was kind of my company, right? You know, talking to you guys is, even if not many of you watch the playthroughs comparatively. Well, I guess, you know, I've kind of missed it. But on the other hand, I've been away because I haven't gotten a lot of sleep last night. And, you know, coming back from vacation work-wise, I had a lot to do. And so it's harder to get into the motions of playing right away. But I still feel like I need to chatter. The sequence of play for the administrative phase, not much actually happened. Everybody's ready to do railroad destruction. Everybody's in supply. No attachments or anything like that. And at this point, it's time to start thinking real hard from both sides' point of view. How can you win? Are we there? You know? So let's take a little look at the points, I guess. But one of the things is also, you know, what more points can we get that are reasonable? First of all, the Union has the capability to take one of the automatic victory spaces. But that looks slender at best. 2 full turns. This is one of them. But I don't have a lot of force against that. And there's fair defense there and fair defense on the sides of it, if I recall correctly. It's hard to tell, because you gotta paw through the units. So this is like, fuck me, 8 strength points there, and who knows. And remember, the Union armies are a little worn down. These aren't great size. This is 12, probably 14 there. This is fairly large. It's gonna be tough to crack those. Up here, Gilmore and Smith would have to come up. Well, Pickett's back here. It doesn't look like he's going to be dislodged easily or be threatened easily, so Pickett could easily go back here. And that would be 6 strength points there. I got Ransom kicking around. It would be pretty tough for the Army of the James to take Manchester, but maybe easier. Of course, I have to keep it in supply, which means that's not going to work, right? Because I need these guys to hold the supply line open. That probably means that I can't use them to get up here and destroy the Richmond and Danville or the Clover River. So if we look at our victory conditions, let's see where we are. If we find our victory conditions. Okay. We have the Weldon, that's 14. We can probably get the South Side Railroad. Is that this one? No, that's this one. And we have, what, this other one here, the Norfolk and Petersburg. I don't know if that matters. Yeah, it matters, but not as much. We can probably get the South Side. and we have the Virginia Central. So that's 26 points. 26 points in the long game is a Union marginal victory. But 26 points isn't all that there is. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm probably not going to be able to burn anything else. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 might be able to get this. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, sorry about this, 23, 24 more points. So that puts me up to 50. However, let's say 6. There's 12 off that, so that puts me to 38. So right now, the Union reasonably is in the marginal, almost substantive victory, assuming that I get the South Side Railroad, which I think I can get. Can I get just a little bit more? We're talking 2 more victory points. There's one there that maybe there's a cav that can hit. The next one, though, is a lot harder to find. There's one up here, which I don't think I'm going to get. And beyond that, it really comes down to, yeah, I could just win the automatic victory and, you know, cause Richmond to fall by taking one side or the other of the river there. Not sure how to manage that, though. What happened was the Union made the Confederates burn a couple of their actions, which were, you know, commanders here just flipping over. It doesn't really do much. But then when the Confederates forced the Union to do one, is it Warren here? Yeah, attacked and used up more movement points than I thought. But he managed to hurt himself by 2 strength points, which is clearly not the way to do things. One of the reasons for that is if things go badly, I can send Sheridan up to go hitting these, but I needed Sheridan's full strength to be able to get a shift for him here, and I'm going to need it again for any attacks from here. But this looks pretty damn hopeless in terms of breaking into Richmond, and I just don't see any other option except not trying, which might save me some victory points. But and at this point, I don't think Sheridan can get me to that second level of victory because I just took 2 more casualties. Well, actually, the Union got pretty unlucky on their last attack, and this time Sedgwick and Lee was involved in it. This time Sedgwick got to attack without Lee being involved, got his full +2, and got a little lucky. Not terribly. He takes the hex. This is not a victory hex. Those are these 2 and this one. But he drove Longstreet out. Now, Longstreet got to retreat through a friendly unit, so even though he went through an enemy zone of control, he didn't end up taking a casualty, which would have, of course, changed the balance over there a little bit. But yeah, so now things are looking a little bit more promising. It looks actually possible to bust into one of these. And if I get in there, damned if the Confederates are going to be able to push me out, right? I don't know. But they got a lot of forces near it, but it looks damn hard. Any bounds of reason, though, I don't think I can actually do this. This is a much bigger hex in terms of the forces that are there. I don't think I can break through it. And there we go, knocking the stacks over again. A lot of big stacks in this game. And no holding boxes. That's one thing the newer version or newer implementation has. Is some holding boxes for the units where you can put large stacks of units. There's stacks in that look like they're going to get bigger though, because whatever. All the divisions are on the board essentially, along with other things, smaller units. Hinks has moved up here. This is sufficient, but from here he can be in supply over either of these bridges. So as long as I keep this open, I'll be able to destroy the South Side Railway. I That means, though, I can't really move Gilmore out to Ransom and knock him out of the way, which means I have no chance of getting to this without breaking this. I don't see an easy way to get that unless I extricate the Army of the Potomac from the task that it's currently in. And that might be what it's going to do, but I'm going to delay to do it. The reason is, first of all, some reinforcements have shifted over. Fitz Lee has left over on that side. But also, it gives me two threats. One threat on this, which is the more likely thing that I can take, and then force my way across in supply. And the other is coming this way against Pickett, which would force, the Confederates to reorganize their defenses a little bit. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take moving too much to, because those stacks are all doubled, just because they're in automatic, breastworks axis, and they could be tripled if it gets big enough, which is what's happening here. Is Anderson's tripled. Come out of the game is this anyway, but it's gotten really bad at this point, which is I keep rolling, getting an initiative, and somebody's like, if it's a Union initiative and they force the Confederates to go, the Confederates are like, okay, well, I'll pick through these guys and flip someone. I did move Ewell up to challenge Hinks. On a lucky shot, I could have caused a casualty. I didn't. As long as Hinks is on the other side of the river, Ransom's not too likely to come down and hit him. Although, see, if Ransom moves away, there's the possibility of me running up and doing something with one of these. But with two Confederate leaders down here and two Union leaders there, I've got the Cav, but it's not terribly helpful. Cowlitzy's slow, and they're all slow down there in the James. He's got one strength point. There's just not much he could do. He could burn railway stations, and they're all burned. He came up with another dramatic concept. If I can't attack the north side of Richmond, and I had a garrison that got bumped. These stacks get messed around easily under Hill there. That wasn't going to work either. That's supposed to be under Hill, so his strength was actually a little bit higher, and high enough anyway that it was pretty unlikely. Well, if I'm willing to disengage to go this way and try to fight my way across this bridge, what the hell? I can either bridge the James, not there, but here, or I can work my way across, as Sheridan did, at this ford here, and just get the Army of the Potomac over here. It can operate out of there just fine. And it shouldn't have too much difficulty at all. Especially with something like Second Corps here kind of lagging around where it didn't get to withdraw very far. Well, that's a unit that's kind of threatening Richmond, so I can't completely denude Richmond in order to try to protect things. But I can start pulling it out and try to bottle the Army of the James down there. That could cause things to go all haywire, right? The Union saying it. But that's why they had to delay so long. Anyway, I think this is the end of this cycle, and now I got to go through all the pieces and unflip them. The game is really getting kind of tedious mechanically at this point. There's some interesting stuff to happen, but things were so close in, especially without a lot of movement going on, that it just got really unpleasant. This may open it up a little. One of those moments where there's an inversion of maybe who wants to go first, who doesn't. The Union got the first initiative and moved Burnside, hoping to get him across the ford here. Now the question, of course, is that a big deal? Or can Pickett cover it? Well, then what about this ford? What happens then? Burnside can probably slip through there before the end of the turn. However, he probably can't get to the railway. And that's where the problem is. So covering that ford may be important. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Burnside would have to roll a 6 on a forced march to make it to the railway. Can anyone else get there in time? I don't think so. On the other hand, if Pickett doesn't cover this at all, what happens? Well, Burnside can come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which he can almost certainly get to with a forced march. And then he becomes more of a problem. So it doesn't matter when I move Pickett is the question, because Sheridan can go move up to the ford and make it easier for Burnside to move through, but he can't make it trivial. Pickett can move to here, and there's not much Sheridan can do to stop Pickett from sort of blocking, a couple of hexes that are necessary for that ford to work. So I think the Confederates are going to punt to the Union. But seriously, that's, the level of bopping back and forth you have to think about. And then, is this the only possible place where I want to do anything is another question. We're pretty sure nothing's going to happen here. Down here, there's nothing going to happen. And these guys, I probably want to react. So, yeah, I'll hand it to the Union. Which, that's another thing that's changed in the Great Battles of the American Civil War. You roll for initiative. You get the initiative. You have the choice to use it or to pass it. Similar. But if you pass it, the other player has the option to end the cycle, essentially, the game turn, the action portion of the game turn. Because there's only one in each turn. And what that means is that there's a cost, and it's more like, I'm trying to remember, certainly Civil War, the Victory Game Civil War game has this, but I think Korea has it too, where if you get the initiative, you can either do something and waste one of your units, or you can pass and take a chance that the other guy passes and it ends the entire action cycle. So it still gives you a difficult decision, but it's not the same kind of decision. There's something about this. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how much luck there is in either direction. It feels like the player who gets the initiative in this has more control. I don't know how that's going to work out playing it out, though, with the other system. There was another opportunity that the Confederates did not see, which is Sheridan could march up. He didn't even have to attack, but he had 2-to-1 odds, so he did so. Unfortunately for Sheridan, he lost the battle with a terrible die roll. Lee was not involved, but he might have prevented Pickett from being able to cover there. As it is, he still can slow Pickett down. If Pickett takes an action, I can use Sheridan because he doesn't get retreated. I can use him as a cav screen. The Army of the Potomac has shifted its way over to cross here now. Even if I don't manage, and I probably will be able to because I have guys with lots of movement to get to the rail line. Warren being the one exception because he's disorganized. No, he'll be organized as long as I keep my supplies open, right? Because there's this magical resupply at the end of every 3 cycles, or a supply check, but undisorganizes you. However, I sent Stuart in to chase Sheridan off, and that'll give Pickett a good chance to block this. This isn't enough, though. There's fast enough people who might be able to make it down all the way. Maybe. Excitement developed kind of slowly over time. Confederates pushed Hill, Fitz Lee, both of them up. You still don't have this covered. Pickett might be able to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He'd need a 4 or higher, but I could force march and probably get him there. And that would be pretty bad for the Union, because then the Army of the Potomac's stuck down here, probably out of supply. They may lose some strength points if they don't fall back. And some of them may anyway. Weird stuff happening down here. Confederates force Union to take an action. Terry peels out of Gilmore and marches up to here to put a threat on this. Now, it's possible the Union might just bust through Fitz Lee, though. That's kind of the problem. Is things are poorly defended, so it might come down to an initiative on whether Hill can move, whatever. He's got Sheridan sitting next to him, though. Could take away some movement points. Not that that matters too much. I don't have to go very far. And Hill's got a lot, so yeah, he pretty much could get there. So Sheridan probably won't run away. Because if he entices him to attack, it might end this. Anyway, Terry marched up to here. That weakened Gilmore. So Early, who's under here, attacked. Now, this was just an even attack. We rolled the same number. Nobody ended up dying. There's 1/3 of the time each side ends up dying, and 1/3 of the time nobody dies. They were both corps leaders, so it could have happened. This could have been big. If the Union had gotten a good roll and knocked him back, then this is out of supply. And I think that was Gilmore. Yeah. And Smith would then have to send forces here because Couts has run by, Terry's troops have come out. You kind of see how things are getting ugly. Gregg has swept around to help support here. We've got just everything coordinating down on the Manchester side of things. And there's really two ways the Union has to up their level of victory. One is if they can wreck the railway, and the other is the automatic victory. Stuff over here, I'm kind of afraid to move it because the Second Corps is still kicking around down there. I'm glad I didn't get another Union leader, although I guess something from the Army of the James wouldn't hurt too much in terms of the replacement leader, because it would be evident that it was not a Potomac leader. The Confederates are being forced to go. If they can get somebody in Drury's Bluff, this is all cut off. But do I want to do it right now? There's a couple of threats right now. There's Cav here, which could conceivably take Richmond. It couldn't stay there. But, yeah, I mean, alternately, if I leave here, well, that guards this. But a Union unit could slide in. No supplies going over there. Yeah. So it's actually the defense of this actual garrison. I don't know if much is able to get there. Yeah, I'm going to move Breckinridge. And this was a huge mistake by the Union. And I mean, I'm making mistakes left and right with both sides. I feel like there's no way this game doesn't do that. I can get him down there. No, I can't because Terry's here, but Terry only has 2 strength points, so he doesn't project zone of control. So, yep, we make it in here instead. And now the Union is technically cut off. What do we do about it? Well, it's not a big deal yet. I'm not on the 3rd action cycle. I'm not going to lose a bunch more troops, which would be terrible. And also any chance of the railway getting wrecked, whatever. But I do have to worry about what the net situation is. And I probably don't have time to free these guys with anyone who's kicking around because the Potomac Army hasn't crossed yet. It's nowhere near range. Maybe Sheridan can? That's about the only answer I see. Okay, well, Wilson comes up here, tries an attack on this. It doesn't work. That doesn't do a whole hell of a lot, but it might because I could build I'm not going to get a chance to. Oh, no, I do. I do have one more chance, and I do have a permanent bridge, so I could actually build a bridge across the James there, and that would get me back into supply from over here. There's really no Confederates who can cut that shit off. The danger, of course, is that would be... that doesn't really help too much, because I still would have to get out of here, so no, it wouldn't have helped. Anyway. After that, though, Smith attacked Early. Early was weakened by his attack, drove him off, and now there's a supply line again. And yeah, this is, it's a crazy tense situation right now, and I'm so glad the siege thing kind of went away. It was obvious it wasn't going to succeed because that was really, really nerve-wracking. Well, that was just annoying. This is nerve-wracking, but cool. Well, this is getting tough. So the Union's handing initiative over, or forcing the Confederates to take an action if they want to. Confederates have a few things they can do. I can't strip any of these off. This would have too easy a time getting into this hex by my calculations. And we could, of course, reverse things and, break back through if things get too ugly. So like if Anderson busts through there, well, then maybe I can march in and take that hex. Either of these hexes work. I just have to be there for 2 action phases and possibly end of the game, but I don't know about that. I know end of the game allows you to wreck railroads. I don't think it allows you to take the auto victory, even if you're sitting in Richmond or Manchester. Longstreet, he could go. He's got like he's got 2 disorganized strength points, or manpower, which gives him 1 strength point. It's not enough to do much with. I could use Pickett. What can I do with Pickett? I could send Pickett up this way, which is what I was intending to do, and try to prevent the crossing here. Or I could send him down this way, but he doesn't have any... Nobody's got a snowball's chance in hell of blocking any of this, except for one guy, Ewell. Ewell's a problem, though. Ewell's the guy who's supposed to clear the South Side Railroad here. I don't know which one's worth more. I think these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So Hinks will be in supply, even if this is cut, as long as a route through the south of Petersburg is open. So if that railroad's worth something significant, it may be worth more to knock him out of there. But this, if I could close it, is worth, is a bigger deal because there's also the possibility of Manchester falling, right? So this is what? This is the Richmond and Danville, which is worth 12. Yeah, this is the one I do not want them opening up. So, now I've got a problem. If I can get Ewell into position here, that's sufficient. Now he's going to have to face Gregg, but it doesn't have to be done, well, it does have to be done this action phase because he's got to be entrenched next action cycle. And there's no free entrenchments here. So, well, let's see what we can do with him. I doubt we can get there. He can't force march. He's already disorganized. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he needs a 3 or higher to get up there. But that means the South Side Railroad is pretty much given up. I've got Early down there. He might be able to do something, but I doubt it. I think this is done before I roll the die, but after I declare movement. So Gregg is going to hit me. And he gets away. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll send him back here. This is not a good place. This is on the road. It's a little bit better. Could have pushed towards Hinks, but whatever. Okay, now we check Ewell. Can't force march. He's got 2 movement points taken off. He gets a 5 total. 5 isn't going to do it, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it does. Okay. And it has to be this hex because I have to cover this hex. All right, so once again, the Union supply line has been threatened. I don't think there's much they can do about it. And now Pickett can move up this way and try to cover something there. I don't know what. But I do feel like I've stripped Richmond of everything I can afford to. Just so you're not shocked. Got a couple more cleanup here. Pickett made it here. Well, he might have been able to do something useful, but I don't know. I'm happy with where I am, I guess. I've got him covered. It's just, Everything's on a razor's edge right now. Anyway, one more round. Give me a chance for the Army of the Potomac to make its way down there. I don't know what that does for me, though, if these guys can't break out. Because, yeah, there's no supplies anymore. So they may just, their best move may be to just back up and maybe take another swing at Richmond. There's a space there that if I can get some actions and hit some of the weaker spaces, but this is a long way away. I do have a full turn and an extra action cycle though, so it's possible, highly unlikely. And of course, if I move there, it's also possible the Confederate forces may start peeling out of here because they're no longer needed, all depending on, you know, the order of the initiatives and stuff like that. It opens up this third action phase, sending Warren in to try to dislodge Fitz Lee. They got the initiative. It's very obvious. We need to push down and probably try to get into a position, say here or something, where we can trace supply out. And we have units that can do that. We have the Cav units and stuff like that. Maybe even Hinks, but I kind of want to use him for destroying that railroad if at all possible. Destroying this railroad has become kind of secondary. I have a lot of leaders, so I have a possibility of doing it, but it's more important for me. Well, these guys aren't going to be able to make it down and clear the supply line, so they're not going to be the options for that. Problem with the plan, though, now Burnside and Warren are out of supply, and they're irrevocably out of supply, basically. Now, they're in secondary supply range, which means maybe I won't lose strength points or whatever, but even if I get this hooked up, they're not going to be in supply, and they can probably trace secondary supply around this way or something as well, so it's not going to make much difference. I have Sedgwick, who maybe I can get down to the railway, though, and that will be worth more points than anything else. I forced the Confederates to take an action. Well, the railway is not that important. The bridging situation is not that important at this point. I mean, I guess Hill could go slam into Burnside, but Hill's much weaker. And then he gets hit by Sheridan, by Sheridan, and doesn't, get his full movement and everything. So we're kind of playing the delaying game, end up entrenching deeper with Breckinridge, which is important because this hex isn't covered by that breastworks because there aren't enough strength points in any given leader. There's only one leader there, but I would have to get a corps commander there and do an attachment, which comes after the supply phase, to inhibit the Union supply in that hex, which is why Breckinridge had to pull back. I had to remember that, because it looked like, hey, I got them covered. No, I don't. A little bit of work. I've slipped Sedgwick in through Sheridan to here, where I think he can possibly get in supply. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, assuming I cover this. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, geez, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Shit. Okay. And I don't think there's a port here. I think I'm fucked. I thought I had supply there. Yeah, too much counting, too much mess at the bulge there. Yeah, I don't think there's any way I can get the supply unless I can cut these two hexes. That would do it. So that's what Couts and Terry are going to try to do, but they don't have to do it right away. Basically, I have to try to play out and force these to be used. Problem? There aren't a lot of Union units left. Union has been forced to, more or less. I don't know, I could have done Wilcox. Move before the Confederates do. The Confederates still have leaders that they can fire off back here, so it's probably not that big a deal. But we're playing this obnoxious game of, I'll flip a piece, you flip a piece, like Hill, who couldn't go anywhere, or down here, the guy in the garrison there. I couldn't really afford to let him go while Hinks is still active, so passing with him made sense. But I want Ewell to undisorganized. So having him grow seems like a good thing. So I've kind of held off doing that. I've got forces here that I might throw in to try to cut this supply line even further. The problem, though, is I got these hexes covered. It would take forces basically in these two hexes, and I don't think I can get there. So now I think my limitation is dropping it on Ransom to try to chase someone out of there. Now he might be able to get Couts out of there. He forced marched. Or Terry, but neither one is an easy job to remove from the hex that he's in. I do have Yule available. I could attack with him, but I attack with Yule, and then I don't have anybody that can drop a zone of control there. That may be a last-ditch option, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now that'll still allow them to at least keep Sedgwick in supply and Sheridan. These guys aren't going to be in supply pretty much no matter what I do. I think even if I draw a straight line, I can't get there in 15. I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. Now. So I'm not going to get them in supply no matter what. So I don't have to worry about trying to cut them off with some kind of tricky move. And Sedgwick will be in supply if Yule doesn't entrench. So that, I do want to keep Yule from action. This looked a lot weaker than I think it actually is. The problem is Couts, first of all, he's in rough terrain, which means it's going to cost me 4 to move there. And also, what happens if he withdraws? Yeah, I only have this to get in there. Yeah, I think if Ransom can hit Couts, there's a pretty good chance that he drives him out of there. If I was going to get an attack, I hit the force march. This is a hard call. Do you do the force march and weaken yourself? In that case, I only had a +1 on the die roll. Well, that wasn't enough for combat. I ended up on the 0 table. I did not dislodge Couts. I guess you could figure out the probabilities, if you want to do that kind of analysis. I really hate doing that, especially with all the mistakes I made. But this late in the game, maybe it would have made sense to do that. Now I kind of have very few options left. Can I prevent this? That's the question. If Early comes down and hits Greg, does that prevent wrecking that railway? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe 13, 14, 15. Oh, shit. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 13. I think I can reach him that way. I don't know. Let's try counting again. I fucking hate counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I come up with different answers each fucking time. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is safe. 8. I can't cut there. 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15 isn't going to make it. 12, 13, 14, 15 isn't going to make it. So the Union will not have Hinks in supply if I cut this way. So now what I have to do is look up that list of railroads, which I really wish was on this chart. And it seems to be the thing I most look at in the game out of everything except maybe the combat chart. But even that, I'm just constantly referencing the victory points. Now, this is the victory points for only the campaign game. But we're looking at Southside Railroad versus, well, the Scottville Road doesn't actually matter. Southside's worth 6. What the fuck, Scottville Road? That ain't it. That's not a railroad. Richmond and somethingville. Danville. Okay, that's worth 12. So this is really key. This is only worth 6. I've already gotten the Weldon, which is the big one. So if I could cut supply here, and I do have some leaders who might be able to do that coming out of the Richmond area, then maybe something good happens. What hexes do I need to cover? Bay Breckenridge isn't very strong. He's not, so actually I have to cover this, this, and this. Those 3 hexes. Now, how many of them allow Sedgwick? That's another question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I thought we had cut. No. Okay, it's going to be pretty hard to prevent Sedgwick from getting out. He's got a lot of play, so all 3 of these hexes would have to be covered for Sedgwick to be locked in. I don't think I can do that. But I'll save early for last. A quick march might, right? I don't know. 1, 2, 3. We got to check the strength in this hex. It's not big enough. Shit. He's not used. Why didn't I flip him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because there's no roads cutting here. 6, 10. So early could conceivably cover one of these hexes. If I can cover the other 2, we can block off the Union supply there. What are the chances? Geez, I don't know. What else could I possibly do? And how much am I risking Manchester and Richmond for an automatic victory? Those automatic victories have to happen in the first 2 action cycles because you have to sit on them for 2 action cycles. So that 3rd action cycle, I can abandon Richmond and Manchester. Really gamey, but that's the way the rules appear to be. There doesn't appear to be a last turn occupation rule for those like there is for the railway destruction. You can't just break in the last turn and win. What am I thinking? I can't cut these hexes. Occupying them's not good enough. Fuck. Maybe early's big enough to occupy this hex. No, he's still not. He still can't do anything. Yeah. All right. So the supply isn't cut, and I don't know why I moved him. It's really hard to grasp that. I've got troops all over your fucking ass, and you can trace supply through them. Now, by Longstreet to smash into Terry did not work. I may be able to still hit with one of the cav, though, because now Terry's weaker. If I can get Terry out of there, I win the little battle here. The Union's already passed. Early probably can't do anything of use, but Ewell might be able to. Again, what was I talking about? I was talking about trying to deny this. Why would that not work? I don't know. That's the problem. I counted again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That doesn't get me to Sedgwick like I thought. So Sedgwick wouldn't be in supply and wouldn't be able to wreck the railway. I'm not sure. Oh, it's because I can drive it up this way. Okay, but Ewell could hit Terry, and that would be sufficient to disrupt things. Or, even easier, if he hits Couts, right? Which is what I thought I was looking at before. Damned if I know. All the beauty and charm that this game portrays early on, with trying to, bypass the lines and everything. When it comes down to this race for fucking victory points and cutting supply and taking chances and all that, I'm beginning to really despise this part of the game. Or it's all screwed. I marched Ewell up here. He was going to attack Couts. Well, Couts doesn't need to be in this hex anymore. Why did he need to ever be there? I don't fucking know. He actually didn't. There's no road connection, and I hate this, between these two. Which means the zone of control from the weak unit that's under Ewell. Now, once Ewell's there and everything, and we hit the damn attachment phase, there'll be a big enough force to prevent supplies from getting through. That's enough for rail breaking, because the rail has to be in supply the whole time. If it's ever out of supply, I think the rail destruction goes away. I don't remember. Jesus. Nope. But it has to be at the end still able to trace a primary supply line, which is essentially the same. So, will the Union be able to bust out of there? By the way, Early ran down and lost another strength point against Hicks. The Confederates are frittering away the points that they have banked for casualties because of the Union's kind of ill-advised attacks and losses that have been taken. Well, now the Confederates are doing the same. But here's the thing. Because I don't need this hex, maybe I want to retreat before combat, in which case Ewell can't actually make it in there, because I would eat up his movement points that he needs to get in there. No, he still has enough to get in there. Okay, so we have to fight. So this could be the game right here. We'll see. I mean, it won't be obvious, but it could be the points that determine the game. So Ewell's got 3, Couts has a half. That's 6 to 1. Shit. That's +5. I've got support. I mean, I can't stand. So what if I retreat? Well, Ewell has already paid the cost to get into the hex with an attack. So he will get to advance. Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. That would still bring supplies through. I'm just thinking Couts can't possibly hold this. I mean, +5 is stupid, right? I don't want to face that, or +6 or whatever. I'm going to, at best, hit about this, which will give me the retreat. So, yeah, I think Couts has to get out of there. Ewell has succeeded in rolling a high enough number to get in there. Now, that still means there's enough supply to get to Hinks. It just means Sedgwick's not going to be able to rip up the railway, unless he happens to be sitting there end of game. And he's not going to be in supply. Couts manages to disappear. That's not good. That's a strength point for the Union. The extra movement points are taken away. Ewell doesn't want to keep going. He wants to be here because now he will have enough strength to prevent any access from there. On the negative side, the Union can trace supply down through here. We'll see what can remain in supply and what can't. Terry probably is still in supply. Sheridan, I don't know. I don't remember. And I don't really feel like counting again and again and again. Because I fucking hate counting. So I think the Confederates have done everything they want to do. And that puts us to the cleanup. And then here, what are we going to see? Completion of railroad destruction. Anybody doing any? My life has become such a fucking disordered mess because I've got to go get my stuff back and I've got to arrange, my sale of my other place and all kind of shit like that. And it's far more logistically complicated than I can handle. And it's such a tangled knot that I honestly, I thought I had hit rock bottom to the point where I would be able to act on it. No, I still have one more defense, which is staying up all night, which is what I'm doing now. Barely able to work and then just passing out, not able to do anything that I need to do to arrange my life. Yeah. I liked it a lot better when I was just avoiding the question and being depressed. That was easier than this. At least I wasn't trying to fuck all my life by avoiding one little problem that really isn't that big, but I can't handle it. This should be a rant, but I can't cope. Yeah, I don't think there's anything exciting happening in the terminal cycle here, so. Obviously, we're not going to be able to finish this one on this video. The level of detail that's involved in all the fucking counting and all that shit, and I'm going to probably rant again or whatever. So this is the situation we're in. I'll load this one up. And you know, I mean, going back to my personal existence, if I wasn't such a fucking control freak, it probably would be okay. But being an incompetent control freak is what ruins it all. Like, I have to absolutely understand how everything's going to work, and I'm incapable of, like, unraveling the ball of spaghetti that I have to completely straighten out, right? The control freak aspect comes to, could I count on my wife to just set it all up? Maybe, sort of, kind of, you know? Like, she could at least maybe make the decisions and tell me, because she's not capable of dealing with people at all. She could maybe make the decisions and tell me, call this person at this time, do this. But that works fine for me at work and stuff like that. Hey, I've got a meeting, I got to do it. Whenever it's anything in my own existence, I seem completely incapable of doing it. Anyway, sorry, I can't even afford to, like, do a rant video. So this is all I fucking have, is these little game videos and the hope of reaching out to someone through them, or writing things on the web. And it's like, it's just not getting me under control enough. But at least this vague fake of communications might actually work. Maybe I'll get my shit in gear someday. Anyway, this is, I can't even talk to my wife, because the fact that I'm so unstable, she can't cope with that, so she has to go completely silent on me and run away. And I fucking hate my life.